What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Xenoblade Chronicles and just me sharing my thoughts and overall experience that I had with this game. If you don't know, we just wrapped up this game over on my Twitch channel. And if you don't follow me on Twitch, my link will be down in the description. But essentially on my Twitch channel, we have a segment every weekend at 8 p.m. Central called JRPG Weekend, taking place every Saturday and Sunday, and it's just a way for me to kind of kick back and just relax and talk to the community while we explore these vast worlds of JRPGs. And Xenoblade Chronicles was the game that we were focused on for the past couple months, so I definitely want to come on YouTube and kind of share my thoughts. Now, I was originally going to do like a worth a play video for this particular game, but honestly with my work schedule, it has just been hectic trying to find time to sit down and kind of gather my thoughts in a scripted format. So I decided to just just wing it and just do more of a discussion style video for Xenoblade Chronicles. And if you guys like this format, I may try to incorporate this in other game reviews. And of course, worth the play is like the bread and butter of the channel, so that is not going anywhere. If you guys enjoy the scripted reviews, those are going to be here. That series is not going anywhere. But if you guys like for me to give like discussions on certain games, let me know down in the comments, and I may incorporate that in future videos. But with that being said, let's get into the video itself and talk about Xenoblade Chronicles. So number one, Xenoblade Chronicles has always been a game I was aware of. I remember when it first came out on the Nintendo Wii, and I have a couple friends who are really into JRPGs. And I remember a lot of friends recommending me Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii when it came out. Now, around this time, and I said this in a previous review, Nintendo Wii for me was a love it and hate it type console. Like, I had a love-hate relationship with the Nintendo Wii, the original Wii. I loved it for Mario Galaxy, Sonic Colors, Brawl, Mario Kart. I loved it for those games, but anything past those, I was not really checking for. I just didn't like the control scheme, the force motion controls. Yeah, it just wasn't something that I was really, looking forward to. And around that time, I was really invested into my Xbox 360 and later on the PS3. So any games that I really wanted to play, those would be my primary, go-tos, not necessarily my Wii. But anyway, I had a lot of friends that were really into, JRPGs, and when Xenoblade Chronicles were released, they used to recommend me this game like crazy. And I just kind of like, okay, I'll get around to it when I get around to it, and never got around to it. So fast forward, Xenoblade Chronicles got a port on the 3DS, the new 3DS, I should say. So Nintendo released a new and improved version of their successful handheld console, the new 3DS. And I look at this as a way for them to kind of showcase the improved tech in this device. And it is impressive the fact that you're able to run a big open world RPG like that on the handheld. Now, I don't know how it ran because I never played it on the 3DS, but if you guys ever played Xenoblade Chronicles on the new 3DS, let me know in the comments what your experience was with that game. I am kind of curious. But the new 3DS, it released Xenoblade Chronicles, and again, Xenoblade was back in the spotlight. A lot of critical acclaim, and I think around this time also, we already had Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Nintendo Wii U, which is another game that looked cool, but I just never got around to playing it. So now, fast forward to today, we have a lot of Xenoblade material on the Nintendo Switch. We have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which I pretty much consider a remake of the first Xenoblade Chronicles. We have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, we have Future Connected, and I think we also have DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well. So there's a lot of Xenoblade to kind of go around on the Nintendo Switch. And, if you don't know, Xenoblade is developed by Monolith Software. They're mostly known for the Xenogear games on the PlayStation hardware, and those games are also games I've never played. So I always heard critical acclaim about them, but I just never got around to playing them. But anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles, how I came to play it on Twitch. You have one guy to thank for that, and that is Childish Guy 27. Childish Guy has been like championing Xenoblade Chronicles on my Twitch stream for the very longest. This guy would just not let it go. Every Twitch stream he would come in, Xenoblade Chronicles, all caps, Xenoblade Chronicles in Discord, Xenoblade Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles. And again, Childish has been a very long time subscriber, so I knew he didn't mean any harm by it. But this man really was passionate about this series. So of course, I'm just like, you know what? We're in lockdown right now. Every major city is under quarantine. Let me, I have nothing else to do. Let me just grab this game and let me see what all the praise is about. So I finally caved in and I bought Xenoblade Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. And that is how JRPG weekends came to be. So we dedicated weekends to playing Xenoblade Chronicles, hours and hours of side quests, grinding, exploring, everything. And this is how we came to where we're at now. So without further ado, let's get into the actual game itself. So when it comes to the story, Xenoblade is one of those games that have a very interesting and deep lore. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything for those who haven't played it. Again, this is just me really kind of talking about my personal experience with the game itself. But the story I did find very intriguing. And as you go throughout the game, things that did not make sense in one chapter is explained maybe 2 chapters over or near the end of the game. So at first, I will admit the story for Xenoblade didn't really do a lot for me. It was very like, okay, you have this kid, you have a party, you're fighting this war, but when you start realizing the scope of things and the scale and people's motives, everything just starts to kind of like really make sense. And if you go back on my streams, you can see like there's some parts of the story where I'm just like, I had to pause the game because I was like, what? That really just happened? But just to kind of give you guys like a brief overrun, essentially you have the Bionis and Mechonis, these 2 titans that are at internal war. They're fighting each other, but what's really interesting about these 2 titans is that there's actually life that live on both the Mechonis and the Bionis. And not just life as far as like humans or, noms or, mechons, whatever the case is. You also have, animals, you have water, you have grass, you have nature. So there's like so many so many pockets on these titans that will resemble something that you will find here on Earth. So what I found interesting about this is just the difference between the Mechonis and the Bionis. And like I said, I'm not gonna get deep into this. So if you're looking for like a full story breakdown, this is not the video for you. But yeah, the whole concept behind the Bionis and Mechonis I found extremely intriguing. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm probably just going to stop there when it comes to the story. But along the way, of course, your main character is Shulk. If you don't know who Shulk is, you may have seen him in Smash Bros. That was my first exposure to Shulk, was in Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, of course. But you play as Shulk, who is this kid who has the ability to see these visions. Now, again, not getting into spoiler territory, but once you find out why he can have these visions and how he got these abilities is pretty mind-blowing. It's pretty interesting. But Shulk, he has the ability to wield this legendary weapon called the Monado. And Monado has to be one of my favorite weapons in any video game, period. Because the Monado, the things that thing can do is kind of crazy. And again, not to get into spoiler territory, but just know I love the Monado, and I'm looking for a replica Monado to put in my office. But so Shulk has this ability. He has this ability where he can see the future and he can prevent certain things from happening. And he just overall wants to find his purpose. You know what I mean? So again, not getting to spoiler territory, we're just kind of going to leave it at that. But along the way, you meet all these different characters. And one thing I can say about this game is that the characters are super memorable. Everybody from Ryan, with his hot-headed nature and his in-your-face attitude, to Dunban, who was as cool as a fan. And you have Fiora, and you have my favorite character, Ego, or Egg-Eye, or however you want to say his name. Metal Face, which I found Metal Face for a long time was probably one of my favorite villains. I was like, during the stream, I was like, Metal Face for Smash, yo. Metal Face is very entertaining. But no, man, the characters here are very memorable, and the fact that I'm able to remember a lot of the cast members here, even long after we completed the game, just says quite a bit. So like I said, I love the cast. The story and the lore is very interesting, and again, it is one of those things that I want you guys to go out to experience for yourself. So with that being said, let's move on to gameplay. Okay, the gameplay for Xenoblade Chronicles. Where can I start with this? Number one, I guess we'll start with the combat. Now, the combat was something that I did struggle with initially starting this game, because the combat, it's not turn-based, but it's not as free-flowing as you would think it is just looking at the footage. So the best way I can describe Xenoblade Chronicles gameplay is like a single-player MMO, and I know I'm not the only one to make that comparison, but that's literally the best way I can describe it. You know, when you lock onto an enemy, they auto attack, and you have all these options on this bar down beneath, or this row. And these moves are customizable. You can level them up by finding art books. You can do, go on fetch quests, and you can try to hunt for some of the more advanced arts and things like that. But in terms of how you attack and the things that you do, this was something that even later throughout the game, I got pretty decent at, but it was still a little bit of a struggle. The fact that I couldn't control my party members' actions, or the fact that the combat wasn't really free-flowing, I couldn't control when Shulk attacked, and I couldn't necessarily dodge attacks when I wanted to. So that took a little bit of getting used to, especially coming from games or more action-oriented, RPGs like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII Remake and things like that. So that did take a little getting used to, and but once you get used to it and you find out how to deal with the combat, it does become very fun. Now that's another thing I will say: the combat has a lot of depth to it. If you think you're gonna run up on a boss and just full force attack him, that's not gonna work. And I had to find that out the hard way, because for a while that strategy works. Early in the game, you can, if you're at a high enough level, you can run up on a boss and just brute force your way through, and that works. But once you kind of get to like the later game bosses, you really got to start strategizing. And the thing about Xenoblade's battle system, everything is in real time, so you don't really have, it's not like a turn-based system where you can like kind of think your moves out and take your time with it. You really got to like do things on the fly. And like I said, the battle system, it's a mixed bag for me. I know people who really enjoy the battle system, and I know people who can't stand it. And for me, it's definitely a mixed bag. Now, luckily, the developers, they went ahead and put in a casual mode, which I'm not sure was in the original Xenoblade Chronicles. But with casual mode, you can just literally turn that on, and you will breeze through the majority of the bosses. And honestly, I'm going to be transparent here. The last third of the game, I turned that on because it was just like I was just so ready to get this game over with. I think it was on like the final chapter. And the amount of grinding that you have to do to be good at some of these later bosses is just ridiculous. So, but if you like grinding, I mean, this game is for you. This game is definitely plays like an MMO. And I guess I guess I shouldn't call this an issue, but one of the things that kind of bothered me throughout my playthrough is how much levels matter. Now, in other RPGs, you can kind of get away with being underleveled if you had the right equipment, or you had, the right strategy, or you're really good at dodging and things like that. In Xenoblade Chronicles, levels matter. Like, you cannot be underneath the level and expect to win. Like, that to me was so crazy. Like, if an enemy is at like a level 70 and you're like 65, you can forget it. Maybe if you're lucky, you can kill them at like level 68 or 69, but levels are everything in this game. And again, I wasn't too fond of that, to be honest with you, because it does require a lot of grinding. And even, with my file, doing different side quests and things, I think I clocked out at roughly 72 hours when it came to like my final playtime with this game. And that's with doing a couple side quests and, going through the main story and dying a bunch of times with bosses. So if you don't really like MMO gameplay styles and you don't like a lot of grinding, you may want to consider playing this game on casual if you just want to get through the story. And there's no shame in that, Like I said, for the final chapter of this game, I was just really ready to move on. So I really had to, because I wanted to see how the story ended. So I went ahead and just put it on casual so I can just breeze through the game. So if you guys give me a thumb downs for that, I'm sorry. I promise I'll make it up. But yeah, that's one thing that I really was kind of mixed on, was the battle system. Me coming from like Final Fantasy and me playing more tournament style games, it was definitely a little jarring, and having to learn what character goes best with what gem, and what what equipment works best for this person, what arts to use at the right time, and how to position. Like, it was a lot. So again, I would take some time to really kind of study the battle system if you're planning on playing this game, and just understand how it all works. Because I'm telling you, once you get like mid-game, you just rushing everything is not going to work. So definitely take some time to study the battle system. Now, on the flip side, and this honestly was the highlight of the game for me, was the exploration aspect of the game. Now, when you think of a Nintendo Switch and you think of open world games, probably the first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And of course, I love that game. I beat that game as well. That game is phenomenal when it comes to the open world. And if I'm not mistaken, Monolith actually worked with Nintendo to make that open world a thing. So props to them. But I will tell you right now, Xenoblade's open world is phenomenal. Like, I would literally spend hours just exploring different nooks and crannies of each world. And one thing I will encourage is that you do the side quests. As repetitive that they can be, it's like kill 5 of these or gather this or bring this back. But the reason why I enjoy doing the side quest here is because I found the overworld so interesting to view and so many landmarks and things to look at. So when you do these side quests, it kind of forces you to explore these big open worlds. And I will tell you right now, this game is so beautiful. Like, when I think of like the areas in this game, I mean, there were times during my stream where I literally stopped walking just to kind of take in what we're looking at. Like, this game is, oh my God, like the sea areas at night and Satori Marsh, and oh my God, it was just so many beautiful landmarks in this game. And you accompany that with an amazing soundtrack, you won me over. Like, I would be okay if this game had very minimum combat and it really focused on exploration. That's how much I enjoyed the exploration of this game. And again, the soundtrack, oh my God, this soundtrack has to be one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in any video game. There was no missteps here. Every song that I heard on the soundtrack was simply amazing and beautiful, especially the night themes. I prefer the night themes, the night aesthetics of a lot of these stages, but man, I'm telling you, like, the overall scope, the way this game looks, the exploration, that is where my love for Xenoblade comes in. The combat, okay, but the exploration, oh my God, I could spend hours just walking and wandering around. On the flip side though, I kind of wish they had varying walk and run speeds, but that's like a play for another day. I really enjoy just kind of running through and seeing what every area had to offer. And I encourage you guys, if you do play this game, don't just rush to waypoint to waypoint. Take some time to do some side quests, explore every nook and cranny of these worlds, and just see the beauty that Monolith put together here with this game. It is gorgeous, gorgeous. With that being said, y'all, I don't really have much else to say about Xenoblade. I guess overall my thoughts is Xenoblade Chronicles is a great RPG. I absolutely love the story, love the exploration. The combat, I felt like if I took more time to really kind of study it and really understand it, I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But as far as like first impressions go, like my first playthrough, the combat was not something I really cared about, but I can understand the appeal. So yeah. With that being said, guys, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about Xenoblade Chronicles? Let me know also, what is your favorite Xenoblade Chronicles game? And yes, I do plan on playing Xenoblade Chronicles X and 2 eventually. Not anytime soon, but eventually. So yeah, man, just leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of Xenoblade Chronicles. You know, let me know everything. Your thoughts, you know, your recommendations. I want to know it all. All right, guys. With that being said, I am out for the day. I will see you guys next time. Peace.